of Moving Home with Charlie.
The problem is not estate agents. The problem is the control and power behind the scenes that sets the rules of the game in the industry. The fact that I just don't go along with the whole industry bullshit narrative doesn't mean I'm not on your side. To have any chance of delivering more movers a better moving experience, I've also got to solve the problems that good agents are facing. And that's what I'm here to do. Good morning, everybody. This is the BestAgent Breakfast Show, and I'm hopefully also live streaming simultaneously on the Moving Home with Charlie channel. Although I can't see if I am or not. Yes, I am. That's great. And there's a reason for that, which is that there are a lot of numbers out this morning that are. So this show is primarily for UK estate agents. That's what the BestAgent Breakfast Show is for. I'm sharing this on the Moving Home with Charlie channel because I think these are numbers that both movers and agents are worth understanding. Let's get straight into the headline that only came out 45 minutes ago. And just because I like to mix it up, I'm going to choose a different website this morning. It was the first one that came up on Google when I looked for it. And it is our favorite old Daily Fail. But this is a big deal. So inflation numbers came out this morning, ONS inflation numbers, and contrary to everyone's expectations, including mine, inflation has gone back up to where it was, I think it was 1 or 2 months ago, but it's gone back up. The immediate impact of this is going to be an increased likelihood that the Bank of England is going to raise interest rates tomorrow, I think, is the meeting. But there are wider ramifications for this as well. This is all round bad news for cost of living, it's just not good in interest rates and everything else. This is a very strong downward pressure on house prices. Now, I am going to be prioritizing questions from agents, please. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Let's go into a couple of other headlines quickly. So yesterday on Estate Agent, so this morning on Estate Agent Today, there is a story about how it's a story reflecting on yesterday's transaction numbers. And they're pointing out that February marked the slowest month of residential transactions in almost a decade, 18% annual drop in UK residential sales, 76,900 sales on a non-seasonally adjusted basis, up 2% since January. Okay, yeah. So this is it's the lowest level in 10 years in actual transaction numbers. So there's a lot to go through. So I'm not going to hang out on too much of this. On Property Industry Eye, there is a positive story, and what I wanted to do is to make sure that everyone understands the context of this positive story. So Property Mark, who, in my opinion, have a very, very strong guff-based narrative of how great everything is all the time and barely acknowledging when things aren't great, and are saying that we're in a normal market. I find it astonishing that anyone can say the phrase normal market given all of the absolutely extraordinary external, financial, global banking and all the rest of the conditions, right? We have got the highest inflation, and it's going back up, in over 40 years. We've got a developing banking crisis. We've got lowest long-term wage growth in decades. All of this is getting worse, not better. And yet agents are going, we're in a normal market. Now, there might be some metrics you can go, hey, look, that's normal, because that's the same number as it was a year ago or whatever. So that's normal. Okay, but that doesn't mean the market is normal, because yes, I mean, as I've said all along, there are plenty of buyers out there who want to move home. That doesn't mean that they can, whilst sellers hold on to silly high prices. Okay, it doesn't mean that they've got the same budget as before. So whilst there are people who want to move home, the simple fact of it is that their finances are not the same as they were, say, a year ago. That changes what they're able to buy. It changes what bids you're going to get on properties. I just want to go into this article a little bit. So there's a couple of numbers I want to pick out here. It is definitely good news for everybody, for the whole market, that there are more buyers registering. So here we are. Average number of new home buyers registered increased by 34% to 94 per branch on average, which is up 141 since December. Cool. Well, December was a pretty low month for new registrations, if you remember. So that's not a wild thing. The overall numbers are the number of people who want to move home doesn't change very much. People want to move home. When they want to move home changes. But I had a live stream, I had a private buyer's live stream last night on Moving Home with Charlie. And one of the chaps who came on and asked a question, he said, should the banking crisis make me pause my home move? And I said, well, how might the banking crisis affect all of your reasons for moving? And he said, well, it doesn't really. My reasons for moving remain. I want to move. I want to buy my first home. I don't want to be rented. I want to live in a home. I've got the finances. I said, okay, so does anything about the banking crisis that you're aware of mean that any of that changes? And he said, no. And I said, in that case, you just definitely continue. Don't worry about it. And what he was, I think, very, very bravely volunteering was the fact that he didn't know whether to be worried or not. And that's exactly the point of my Moving Home with Charlie channel, is to try to help pick apart the propaganda and guff about what's happening in the headlines and go, there's all these scary headlines, but it doesn't necessarily mean you should move. And as I've always said, if you need a home, you can afford a home, you should move into a home, because having a home is better than anything. I haven't yet had a chance to link to these below, but you can go see them yourself on the Property Mark website if you want to. But Nathan Emerson's commentary there down here is, there you are, look, he always have a little dig at the doom mongers. Apparently I'm a doom monger, right? There's been a lot of doomy whispers about the housing market since last autumn, but agents paint a robust picture. Okay, lowest transaction volumes in 10 years, not robust. Worst affordability in terms of mortgages for much longer than that, that's not robust. Every single externally assessed metric is a downward metric on house prices. So that's why I think Nathan either needs to be a bit more realistic, because being more realistic will make more people move if you explain what's happening. But if you come out with this unnecessarily positive guff, it adds to people not trusting estate agents. And that's, nothing against Nathan Emerson personally, but I think his constant, hey, everything's fine. I mean, there's a bit of this and a bit of that, but it's just a normal market again now. After the last 2 years that were amazing, it's just normal. It's not normal. There's nothing normal about it. I mean, the only normal thing about it is that people want to move home, but that hasn't changed. I quickly want to touch on the right move figures that came out 2 days ago, because I was very pleased to see that despite the average asking price appearing to go up, Rightmove's own commentary said that some sellers remain optimistic about price expectations at the top end of the market. Okay, so they've actually gone on to say they think that's the reason for average asking prices rising, is because of more people coming on at the higher end of the market, not because prices are actually rising. They didn't say that, to their credit. But of course, a lot of agents who either don't care about the truth or don't understand how to interpret the numbers were saying, "Whoa, look at this! The price is going up." You just hurt your own credibility in the eyes of your buying and selling movers when you do that, guys. It's really important to understand the numbers. There's also a story out this morning about how mortgage rates are coming down, and this is on Estate Agent Today. Mortgage rates hit 6-month low. Well, 6 months isn't a very long time, number one. Number two, we're looking at, they've fallen, look at this. Both average 2 and 5 year rates fell month on month. Oh, that's good. It must be a positive buying signal. To 5.32% and 5% respectively. And if you're a 90 or 95%, then the loan to value is 4.99% and 5.33%. Okay, so mortgage rates are still basically, in the real world for first-time buyers, 5%. Even if they've come down 0.1 or 0.13, here we are, 0.1, 0.6, and these are very, very small moves when they've jumped by 3%. These are negligible moves. So as ever, saying something's gone up or gone down is meaningless unless you quantify it with numerical context, which I'm going to do going back to the inflation story now. Okay. This will be a big surprise to a lot of people, and it's genuinely, no one can argue that this isn't bad news. Okay, it is what a lot of people have feared, that inflation was going to remain persistently high. So to all the people saying inflation is coming down, again, numerical context, it was coming down by tiny amounts and was still basically near 10%. Okay, having jumped from 2% a couple of years ago to 10%, if it comes down by 0.1%, that is not a meaningful move, is it? So to all people, whether you're an agent, whether you're a mover, never accept a something's gone up or something's gone down message or headline. Just disregard it unless there's numerical context. All right, how much has it gone up, how much has it gone down, and how does that compare in a meaningful way? That's what you've always got to. So if you're an agent, you've got to understand that before you go out in your newsletters to your buyers. Hey, mortgage rates are coming down. They're the lowest rates for 6 whole months. Right. But they're still the highest they've been for a very, very long time. Now, does anything that we've seen today mean that anyone shouldn't move? No, not at all. In fact, this news that's out today might help persuade more of the time-wasting, unrealistic, silly sellers to lower their prices if they actually want to sell, or to get off the market if they're not going to sell. Because by hanging around on the market and going, well, I'm not going to sell unless I get the price I want, is just dust gathering guff on the shelf. So I'm hoping that agents are going to be able to use these figures to talk sellers into the realistic world, and the realistic world being the fact that mortgages are now 5% for first-time buyers, right? Roughly speaking, they're 5%. The effect of that still hasn't fed through to prices because it takes a long time. Typically, it's a 9-month. I mean, I think BestAgent reported 9 months is the average time now to make a purchase. So people who started that process long before the mini budget still haven't yet bought, and the effect of those interest rate increases has not yet reached fully. It hasn't flowed through into house prices. So we've got this morning land registry average house price figures for February are out today. Don't know what they're going to say. They could go up, they could go down, they could say nothing. But again, month-on-month figures aren't necessarily that anything to be worried about. And I'll say the same. So those of you saying, well, Charlie, you didn't say that about inflation, did you? No, that's a good point. So I'll say it. This inflation going back up to 10.4% might just be a blip, and it's on its way down. And maybe next month it'll drop down by about a slightly larger amount and go down to 9.5%. So again, any 1 month on its own isn't very meaningful to the long-term underlying trend. Okay, so yeah, so people could say, well, this is just an unfortunate blip up on inflation, and it should come, it's going to come back down. The underlying trend is down the last few months. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. But nevertheless, that I know will surprise many people, including me. I did not expect inflation to be going up. I didn't expect it to be coming down very fast. I expected it to be just trickling down again, but I didn't expect it to be going up, and that's going to put that might have all kinds of ripple effects actually into stocks and the money markets and the banking crisis as well. It's not going to help any of that. Do we have any questions for agents? Only agents, please. Only agents. No. Okay. In that case, I'm going to call it. That's your morning. And thank you. I hope this was useful to the Moving Home with Charlie once as well, because I thought it was worthwhile doing it, because I wasn't expecting to be doing a video this morning. I thought it was worth talking about the inflation going up. Guys, keep on moving. Keep on moving. But don't let the headlines change your moving plans. If you need to move for long-term life reasons, move. Because people need to move on with their lives, whatever the economy is doing and whatever house prices are doing. So thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. And agents, see you tomorrow morning, 7:45.